In this video, I want to discuss unique pointers as class members. Now, before we get to that, a quick recap. We would typically use with raw pointers the new and delete operators. Now, in modern C++, we can avoid using the new and delete operators with smart pointers. So you can see I have a simple example class here, pointer manager, and in the constructor, we are going to go and allocate an integer on the heap, and I just have this member initialization parameter for the constructor with a default argument. I'm just using a simple example here with an integer member, so I pointer to an integer as an example instead of doing a template class. Then I also have a destructor which is going to deallocate whatever the member points at. Then I also have the toString function which is simply going to dereference that member and print that out. So in the main function I'll just instantiate that pointer manager and then I'll do p.toString and we should get 0 printed out. Build around, we get 0. And of course we can pass in an argument for the constructor as well. Build around that. Now we get 5. That works fine. But where your code gets complex, you may want a smart pointer to take care of the management, that is of the heap object. So again, I'm going to include the memory for the smart pointers. I'll change the type of the member from a raw pointer to an integer to a unique pointer. Then we have to update the constructor. I'll use the makeUnique function, pass in int, and I'll initialize that to whatever the argument is that we pass in, or it'll use the default argument. And then of course, we can remove the destructor as well, or you can maybe just print something if you want. Since we're not using a raw pointer anymore, we no longer have to go and explicitly deallocate the heap object. Again, it is now managed by the member. And so the toString function we can actually leave as is. It's going to dereference that. It's going to return the integer, so that'll be fine. And in main, I'm going to leave the code as is. And that works fine. We get 5 printed out. Or 0 if we use the default noargs constructor. Or in other words, if you don't pass in an argument, we get 0 because, again, that is the default argument for the constructor. Alright, so that was just a quick simple example. I did not want to go too far with this, but of course you can try and do a template and pass that type argument in here as well if you want to try that. So that is going to wrap up this lecture.